This editorial, The Ish on Daring to Be Great, specifically addresses what has become a common misdemeanor here in boxing. Phrases that have been associated with the sport have recently been just abused and taken to a place where it really is of no consequence, when it has no meaning. It's been devalued. So this video, The Ish on Daring to Be Great, is going to speak a little bit about that, because there are few fighters of today who truly dare to be great. Now, just because someone moves from one division up to another division to take on another fighter doesn't mean or imply that a fighter is daring to be great. Sometimes a fighter is choosing to be lazy. They don't want to have to make the sacrifices to make the weight. In other words, make the cut. When you are undisciplined, you typically will find ways to cut the corners. And many fighters in the sport of boxing have been doing that as of late in the most creative ways. Pictured here are fighters who have all at one time been associated with those troubles of daring to be great. Even though each and every one of these fighters' career is still under progress, some of them have been attributed to the very notion. So welcome to Loon Coon And Buffoonery, Part 18. Now, it's not simply about the weight classes, but it's more about all things inclusive. And these fighters pictured aren't the only ones. I pictured these fighters, or placed them strategically just to have a nice backdrop. But you must understand, in the sport of boxing, there are so many fighters who have found ways to not give the best efforts and all the while kind of steal thunder, limelight, as well as money. The efforts of those who truly try to dare to be great are etched in the history books of boxing. When you look at today's fighters, there may be some who can find themselves in the Hall of Fame at the end of their careers, but a great number of them are going to be tremendously disappointed when they find out that they are not first ballot Hall of Fame fighters. And that's what usually typifies the acknowledgement of your accomplishments. That first ballot, it speaks volumes. Now, it is a system that has its problems when voting for Hall of Famers. But when you talk about greatness, it's about putting together elements of your career where you fight the right fights at the right time and have the right outcome for your efforts. For an example, in the sport of boxing, if you're a champion, you will have to have opponents that certify your place as a champion. If you're a titleist, you have to have opposition that will ensure your position as being a champion. There is a difference between a titleist and a champion. Champions reign, titleists arrive. But in order to be a mainstay, You have to have legacy fights. You have to have opponents that have given you incentive to be the best that you are at your position. And without those type of challenges, continuously facing opponents that you on paper can beat night in and night out doesn't certify what we're talking about. So in order to dare to be great, you have to have the type of challenges, not just external challenges, but something that is driving within yourself to want to go from one place of existence to higher ground. How many fighters do you really name of today's era seek higher ground? They may seek higher revenue, which is not the same thing. And that's why when we talk about the ish on daring to be great, it's easy for someone to miscalculate. I've seen it happen over and over again, whereas in the past, you would see times when fighters would absolutely challenge themselves and place themselves in a position that threatens their positions, that actually gives some type of warning, some kind of alert to what's going on. Fan bases contribute to these problems as well, because the fans have never been more protective than modern time in boxing of fighters and where they should make their next move. You know, they'll say that, oh, he can beat that guy. Oh, he don't need to fight him because he'll knock him out. But I want to see it. I want to see the fight take place. I want to see challenges, war of attrition, you know, where someone is in a threat and they come back and achieve after being behind, or someone who was really out front suddenly has something taken away from them. You know, it's the whole thing about a modern day fighter, and fans contribute heavily to this. And the fighters will hide behind the sentiments of the fans that say these things, but they won't get with the sentiment of the fan that wants to see the best against the best. And that will assist in me determining who is great and what makes them so. So when you're watching these fighters of today that do not seek out greatness the old school way, it's almost like that guy that feels that just because he was on the team and he scored so many points a game and thus far and has great stats, that you should just pass him in class. Well, you don't pass my class if you can't read, son. That's real. That's life. And we have seen far too much of life take our sports by the horns and give us these milk duds. This is Stormy B Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Loon Coon and Buffoonery, Part 18. The ish on daring to be great in boxing. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain